Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we analyze the source material and give you the concrete knowledge you need, and fast. Today, we are strapping in for a deep dive into weighted vests,
Yeah.
a fitness tool that is just completely exploded. I mean, you see them everywhere now, from CrossFit boxes doing the Murph workout to, just people walking around the neighborhood.
And they're not just another resistance tool. They are, I would argue, maybe the single most efficient way to achieve what we call progressive overload.
Aggressive overload.
Yeah, during those really foundational activities.
Mhm.
So walking, jogging, even just classic body weight movements. And for you, progressive overload just means you're constantly challenging your system so you keep adapting and getting stronger.
And the way it does that is what makes the vest so unique.
Right.
Because the sources define it as a torso-loaded system.
Exactly.
So the weight is distributed evenly, and this is the critical part. It keeps your body's center of gravity, your CG, really close to its natural position.
And that precise placement, that is the key differentiator we need to talk about. I mean, our mission today is to cut through the trends, all the hype, and look at the hard science. We need to get past just, how many calories did I burn?
Right.
And really understand the confirmed benefits, the non-negotiable safety rules, and honestly, the most surprising long-term implications that the research shows. Especially the data we have on weight maintenance and bone density, it changes everything.
Okay, let's start there then. Let's talk about the immediate, the proven physiological advantages.
Yeah.
What does the research tell us is happening the second we strap that vest on?
Well, by forcing your body to carry and stabilize this extra mass, you instantly trigger enhanced resistance. And this shows up in several immediate measurable ways.
The first one seems pretty straightforward, the metabolic boost. Your body's working harder against more resistance, so it burns more energy.
Right, and that enhanced calorie burn boosts your metabolism not just while you're moving, but that effect can actually linger throughout the day.
So beyond just burning more calories, we're also seeing classic performance gains.
Absolutely. The increased resistance leads to, improved muscle strength, better endurance, and enhanced cardiovascular fitness. Your workout intensity is just higher, even if your pace feels the same.
I think the most underrated benefit, though, has to be functional stability. It's not just about raw strength. It's about control.
That's such a good point. A vest demands continuous stabilization from your core. I mean, think about it. Every single step you take, that weight wants to shift or rotate. So your abs, your obliques, your spinal stabilizers, they all have to fire constantly just to keep you upright. This improves balance, boosts agility. We've even seen studies showing it helps athletes like young soccer players.
And you mentioned a big long-term benefit earlier, bone health. That resistance is essential for that, isn't it?
It is absolutely critical. Weight-bearing exercise stimulates osteoblasts. Those are the cells that actually build new bone. And for anyone worried about conditions like osteoporosis, especially postmenopausal women, this consistent gravitational load is a huge advantage.
Okay, that's a really compelling list of benefits, but we cannot talk about adding weight without immediately talking about the risks. So what are the non-negotiable safety rules here?
The sources are very clear on this. Misuse is a serious problem. First is just physical strain. If the vest fits poorly or if you just overload it with too much weight, you're putting incredible stress on your joints.
The knees, the back.
Knees, hips, lower back, exactly. It leads to sprains, strains, and worst of all, it encourages bad posture, which can become, really debilitating over time.
And what about the risks during the workout itself?
Well, the snug fit, which you need to keep the weight stable, can actually restrict your chest from expanding fully, so you can run into breathing challenges during high-intensity stuff. And they trap heat like crazy.
Oh, I bet.
So hydration becomes absolutely critical, especially if you're exercising outside.
So if you're new to this, what is the absolute safest way to start? What's the safety prescription?
It's simple. Start low and go slow. Your first vest should be loaded with only about 5% of your body weight. That's it.
Just 5%.
Just 5%. The optimal range for general fitness, where you get the most benefit for the least strain, is somewhere between 5 and 10% of your body weight.
And there's a hard ceiling on this, right? A point where the risks just outweigh the benefit.
Yes, the data warns that you should generally not exceed 15 to 20% of your body weight. Once you go past that, the risk of joint stress and poor form just skyrockets. And this is important, avoid daily use.
Right.
Use it for specific workouts, maybe 2 or 3 times a week to avoid overuse injuries.
And who should just not use one?
Right.
Or at least talk to a doctor first?
Pretty much anyone with a pre-existing condition affecting the spine or heart. So neck or back pain, disc herniations, scoliosis, arthritis, joint pain, or heart conditions like high blood pressure. And they are not recommended for children or adolescents. Safety first.
Now that we know how much weight is safe, let's get into how the body actually processes it. Let's move into the pure mechanics.
This is where it gets really interesting because the safety limits are tied directly to the cardiometabolic data. Researchers had people walk at a constant speed, say 5 kilometers per hour, and they measured their energy cost against the load.
And the breakdown is fascinating.
It is. Listen to this distinction. The net metabolic rate, so the actual total energy cost, increases quadratically with the vest load.
Well, hold on. Quadratically. What
Yeah.
does that mean in real terms? Why is that so important?
It means the effort accelerates way faster than the weight does. So if you double the weight, the energy cost doesn't just double, it's more like it triples or even quadruples. It's an exponentially increasing curve.
Oh.
This is why pushing past that 20% limit is so risky. You are paying a huge, disproportionate physiological price for every single extra pound you add.
That makes so much sense now. But the heart rate responds differently?
Totally differently. Your heart rate tends to increase only linearly. It's a nice, predictable, gradual slope. So your perceived effort, which you often judge by heart rate, might feel moderate, but your actual internal metabolic debt is spiking way, way faster.
I would have thought that where you put the weight, like high on your back versus low, would make a huge difference.
So would I, but surprisingly no, not for a moderate load anyway. For a 10-kilogram vest, they found that shifting the load around the torso had no significant effect on metabolic rate or heart rate.
Which goes back to the definition, right? A good vest holds a weight so close to your core that the overall center of gravity just doesn't shift much.
Exactly. The environment you walk in, however, makes a much bigger difference. Your metabolic rate and heart rate both jump significantly with increases in speed and even more with incline. If you want a harder workout, find a hill.
Okay, let's use that knowledge to make a really important distinction. The weighted vest versus its cousin, the weighted rucksack or backpack. They both add weight, but they train the body very differently.
This difference is key. The weighted vest, with its centered weight, forces constant core and lower limb activation. Quads, glutes, hips, all those deep stabilizers. It's ideal for running or walking when you want minimal disruption to your gait.
But the rucksack, that shifts your center of gravity backward.
Right, it's a backloaded system, and that forces your posterior chain, your upper back, your traps, your shoulders to fire constantly to keep you from falling forward. If your goal is simulating a military-style load or building upper back strength, the rucksack is better.
So for pure endurance and efficient movement, the vest seems to have the edge.
It does, as long as you keep the load in that sweet spot. We saw this in tests. Runners at 5% body weight maintain normal performance, but as soon as they hit 10%, their performance dropped. And tactical populations wearing vests were able to exercise for longer than those using rucksacks with similar loads. So the expert conclusion is pretty clear. Rotate between them. Use both to build well-rounded strength.
Okay, let's pivot now to what I think are the biggest breakthroughs, the long-term health stuff that goes way beyond a single workout. And let's start with bone density. The initial research here was kind of discouraging.
It was. The first studies, most of them under 8 months, showed that just walking with a vest wasn't enough to significantly increase bone mineral density, or BMD. The researchers realized they were missing 2 key ingredients: duration and impact.
So how long did they have to look to finally see a real difference?
5 years. A crucial 5-year study looked at older postmenopausal women. They had one group combine weighted vest use with regularly high-impact exercise, specifically jumping.
And the results?
Astounding. That group successfully prevented significant bone loss at the hip. We're talking the femoral neck, the trochanter, the total hip. All of it was preserved.
And the control group? They were active, but they didn't use the vests or do the jumping.
And they saw their BMD decrease by between 3.2 and 4.4% over those same 5 years. It confirms that sustained loading over years plus impact is the key to maintaining bone density.
This next part, though, is where it gets truly fascinating. Let's talk about the thing that frustrates everyone who's ever lost weight: the rebound, the regain, and that drop in your resting metabolic rate.
This is the absolute core challenge of weight management. When you lose weight by dieting, your body's RMR, the calories you burn just by being alive, it drops sharply. It's a survival mechanism, and it's why so many people regain the weight.
And this is where the weighted vest comes in with this idea called a gravitostat.
The gravitostat hypothesis is such a cool concept. Think of your bones as a biological scale. Your bone cells, osteocytes, they sense your body weight. When you lose a lot of weight, that scale tells your brain, hey, we're too light now. Time to conserve energy, drop the RMR. But by wearing a weighted vest, you essentially trick that scale. You restore the external load, telling the body, no, no, we're still heavy. Don't drop the RMR.
So a pilot study put this to the test. Older, obese adults, all on a diet. One group just dieted it, the other dieted and wore a weighted vest for 10 hours a day.
And both groups lost about the same amount of weight initially, around 10 or 11 kilograms, but the RMR data is staggering. The diet-only group had that expected significant RMR drop. The vest group, they had almost no reduction in RMR at all.
Wow.
The difference between the groups was almost 238 calories per day. That is a free meal's worth of calories your body just keeps burning, all because of the vest.
That RMR preservation is huge, but the ultimate test is always maintenance. What did they find 2 years later?
After a 24-month follow-up, the diet-only group had regained basically all of it. They ended up almost a kilogram above where they started.
Oh, man.
The weighted vest group, though, they maintained a sustained loss of 4.8 kilograms from their baseline. They successfully suppressed that metabolic slowdown.
So they kept off almost half their initial loss just by tricking their body with external weight. That is a massive implication for how we approach weight regulation.
It really suggests that gravitational loading is a profound driver in all this, and that vests might be a key tool for reducing weight regain by bypassing the body's instinct to slow down.
So what does this all mean for you? We've covered the metabolic burn, the functional stability, preventing bone loss, and this powerful mechanism for keeping weight off. The weighted vest is clearly a sophisticated tool, not just a piece of gear, but only if you use it safely and strategically.
And that strategic approach has to recognize that even the immediate performance gains are, well, they're nuanced. We have to talk about the strange findings around gender.
Right. The jumping data was so compelling. We know weighted resistance training helps sprinting, but it didn't really help jumping ability across the board.
Correct. And one study looked at using a vest at 15% body weight as a warm-up. They found it successfully increased subsequent jump height in males, but it failed to do the same in females.
Why? What was the difference? Were the men just generating more raw power?
That's the surprising part. No. The performance increase in the men wasn't from more joint power. It came from optimizing their movement timing and coordination.
I see.
They had a measurable reduction in their pre-takeoff phase and a faster initial velocity. The vests seemed to acutely optimize their neural coordination for that specific movement.
So the vest acts as a short-term movement optimizer for men, but not for women in this context, suggesting there's a fundamental difference in how the male and female central nervous systems process and integrate that acute load.
It highlights that the vest's effectiveness, even down to these tiny performance boosts, seems to be gender-dependent. For you to get peak results, the right weight and the right protocol have to be precisely customized for you and your goals.
And that leaves us with this final provocative thought. If a single tool like this can trick the body's internal scale for 2 years to keep your metabolism from slowing down, what other non-chemical, purely mechanical methods are just waiting out there to be discovered? It suggests we've only just scratched the surface of how we can use gravity and resistance to optimize our own biology.